Yeah, there's just no way I'm ever gonna catch up on all these nature books. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Justin here, and in this video I want to go over some animal books that I know that came out in 2022 that I never got to, and if I don't remind myself, I might, forget about them or something like that. But yeah, I was going through all the different nature books that I missed over the past year or so, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to split this up because the list was just getting so crazy. So I'm probably gonna end up doing plants separate, animals separate, and then environmental nature writing, that's more generalistic, I guess. Probably a separate one as well, otherwise this video would end up being 50 minutes long, and no one wants that. So let's just go ahead and get started with the very, I guess, more specifically animal or zoological type books, for books that I want to get to that I just never did, came out in 2022. So let's just go ahead and get started. Number one's got to be An Immense World by Ed Yong. This has I think it was 4.7 stars on pretty much every review website that I've looked at, which is insane when you have over 1,000 reviews. That's a pretty good consensus. This is all about sort of different senses that animals have and how they use them in the natural world. Kind of reminds me of another book I read this year, which was Jackie Higgins's Sentient: What Animals Reveal About Our Senses. So I think it'll be kind of a good compliment towards that. Ed Yong is pretty famous. I think one of his other books, I Contain Multitudes, was also a bestseller, everything like that. So it's definitely one of the ones I need to get to, and I just didn't do it for some reason. I even told myself, I think it was in the middle of the summer when the library picked it up, I was like, that'll be the next one I check out, and then, it just didn't happen for whatever reason. But, that's definitely one I might try to get to maybe around the holiday period in December. Be a nice fun end the year with a bang type of thing. It was kind of what I told myself, I think, in my end of the year book tag video, I think is what I told myself. So we're gonna go with that. Next up we have Slow Birding: The Art and Science of Enjoying Birds in Your Own Backyard by Joan Strassman. When I saw this one, I was just like, this sounds, just amazing. I do a lot of, maybe not a ton of bird watching per se, but let's just say we buy bags of bird seed every 2 weeks, and we have little platforms that on the deck that we feed the birds and animals and all that kind of stuff with. But I think this is gonna be a good book in the sense of, I do kind of get discouraged. Wait, what's that one book? Hold 1 second. All right, I'm back. For Nonfiction November, I just finished Birding Without Borders: An Obsession to Quest and the Biggest Year of the World by Noah Stricker, which is a really good book, by the way. But, I kind of sometimes get discouraged about, I don't go to South America or Australia or Southeast Asia for all these birds and things animals and just all that kind of stuff. And, that's just not something I'm going to be able to just do all the time. This is not something that's feasible. But I think this book will help encourage people like me. I have my gray jays and the tanagers and all that kind of stuff, even some herons and whatnot. It's going to be a good way to kind of take what you have in your area, in your own backyard or whatever, and just kind of learn more about them and kind of do more deep dives into specific species and stuff. It seems this book has a lot of I guess how-to, as in to what to look for when you're watching birds. So just spot it and identify it. You watch it for a little while and see what it's doing. I think the book will kind of help you interpret sort of the behavior and stuff. Kind of what they're about. Are they gathering materials for nesting? Are they going out feeding? Feeding their young, this or that, things like that. So it definitely sounds interesting, and I think it's just going to be really good for people that we can't always go out all over the world and see everything. It's not I'm going to be able to go out and see a blue-tailed bee catcher, for example, or a harpy eagle in South America. But I can see the birds I do have, learn more about them, and appreciate them even more because they're just as cool, just different. So I don't know. It was a pretty good book, I think, for me. I don't know if it's going to be for everybody, but it's definitely one that I want to get to. All right, next up we have Funny Farm: My Unexpected Life with 600 Rescue Animals by Lori Zaleski. When I saw this come out earlier in the year, I want to pick it up. I worked in an animal hospital as a vet tech for a little while, so there was quite a few rescue animals. kind of going through the doors and whatnot. And in my house right now, we have four and I say rescue animals, but one. Let's see, Daisy dogs from the shelter. Sophia and Ajax, the cats, were from like almost like a feral cat population in like someone's garage where they had like 30 cats or something like that. And then Henry, or Budgie, was a bird that someone was gonna just let go in northern Maine in the wild, and that's just not gonna work out very well. So we were like, oh, we'll just take them. So anyways, we got 4 rescue-ish animals, and it's just I guess it's just a topic that's like really I have a soft spot for. So I can't even imagine running some sort of farm or homestead or whatever with 600 of any kind of animal, let alone all different kinds of rescue animals. I'm sure it's going to be loaded with just tons of like crazy stories, just different, interesting happenings. You're probably going to learn a lot about the different animals, their different behaviors and stuff from like, all their kind of like diverse backgrounds, whether they were like, abandoned or traumatized or abused or hurt or whatever, and kind of how they fit in with like each other and stuff, and, end up living happily on this farm. So I think it's going to be a good, like, kind of pick-me-up read, and, that's why I want to get to it. All right, let's see. Number 4 is by an author that I've recently enjoyed, and it sounds wild and broken. Sonic Marvel's Evolutionary Creativity and the Crisis of Sensory Extinction by David Haskell. I recently read The Forest Unseen, A Year's Watch in Nature, where he picks like a little plot of land. I think it was like 1 square meter or a couple square meters, something like that, and he follows it throughout the entire year, and like kind of the different life forms that kind of go through it or around it and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm like, I'm going to pick up some of his other books, and this was a book he published this year, and obviously from the subtitles, it's all about kind of the different noises and songs and communications that animals use in the natural world, whether that's, I think, like, humpback whale songs, which is actually a really interesting topic, and how they learn different songs every year and stuff, frogs and birds and insects all kind of calling to each other, different things like that. So I think it's going to be a neat way to kind of learn about, I guess, a different lens of communication with animals. This is usually like kind of brought up in a lot of in passing in a lot of books, but I've never seen a book dedicated solely to just like the noises that animals make. So I'm like kind of excited to just learn a whole bunch of new stuff that I didn't know before, and I bet you there's some things I hadn't even like considered or even considered thinking of from this book. So definitely interested in expanding my knowledge with that one. And lastly, one that came out I think in the fall was Sweet in Tooth and Claw, Stories of Generosity and Cooperation in the Natural World by Kristen Olsen. And just from obviously the subtitle, it's just kind of an interesting topic. I've read a lot of nature books, a lot of animal books, and I've never seen one focused on altruism specifically of animals and other animals, if that makes a whole lot of sense. There's in passing you have like some symbiosis, or I guess that's the term, like we have 2 life forms that kind of work together and whatnot, but I've never seen a book focused solely on that sort of thing. And I don't even know if the book is just going to be focused specifically on symbiotes, just from like reading a little bit about it. I think there's going to be a lot of vignettes of different animals that don't naturally like kind of cooperate or like kind of work together in specifically, but in different cases there's been like evidence where they did that. So it just sounds like another kind of good feel-good sort of read. I will say a lot of the nature books I read are super pessimistic and gloom and doom, so sometimes I gotta like search out like kind of the happy ones, and just see where I can go from there. But there you have it. Those are 5 books on animals that came out in 2022 that I'm excited to actually get to at some point. Hopefully, hold me accountable. Make sure I get to like a few of these. If you made this far in the videos, thank you so much for watching. Definitely check out my Etsy shop, Instagram, all that kind of random stuff. Let me know if you've read any good books on animals recently. Leave a comment down below. I'll definitely be glad to check it out. Whether you're reading books on animals or not, always remember, read victoriously.